Maybe you can clarify a little more, just to address maybe some people's fears in light of all the financial turmoil and recovering housing market. Just maybe just a few quick points again to reiterate why now is a good time to buy.
Well, first of all, we've collapsed. Okay, so yes, if you had bought 4 years ago, obviously that was a terrible time to buy. Is it going to happen again? There's just no way that I see that it could happen again now. So the collapse has already occurred. Yes, a lot of people were. I personally lost a lot of money. A lot of people. I'm not alone. A lot of people, millions of people have lost a lot of money. Banks have lost a lot of money. Institutions, investors, for our retirement accounts have lost a lot of money. But I believe that already occurred. It has happened. It's over with, and so now we're starting fresh. I actually believe that the real estate market in our current Inland Empire environment is actually undervalued, and that's why I'm buying everything that I can, and I'm encouraging people to buy, because yes, it already happened. So right now is a great time to buy.
And maybe since you have that a longer term perspective, maybe again you could give us a little more perspective in terms of the crash which we just experienced, the bubble which more recently burst, and the problems in the economy, say 30 years ago, 35 years ago. Maybe you can share some of that, some more of that long-term perspective from what we learned in the past 35 years ago and where we're at today.
Yeah, well, the economy goes in cycles. So you've heard of there's growth, and then there's recession, and then there's deep recessions. We're in a deep recession right now, and then there's depressions. So in recent history, over the past, within the past 100 years, obviously, we all know about the Great Depression, and then we've had periods of significant growth during World War II. There was a significant growth during World War II and after. Then there have been several recessions since then, and then recessions as well as growth periods. So I started in 1981. In 1982, we experienced the highest interest rate that we had ever experienced, in that the prime rate went up to 22% in 1982. Can you imagine 22%? Today, I don't even know what the prime rate is right now. I just know the housing rate is about 3.75 right now. 22%. I remember at that time I was selling houses at 17 and 18% interest. 17 and 18% interest. So there's just different environments, different markets, and we all go through them. We go through these different times. I remember referring back to when I purchased my first home in 1972. Actually, it's 1973. I bought my home. At that point, we had experienced a pretty significant interest rate increases. I bought my first home at 9%. At that time, we had been used to 6%, 5 to 6% interest rates, and we had seen a significant increase. The biggest factor biggest factor that influence interest rates is inflation. So obviously we have very, very low interest rates because we've had very, very low. We've actually had deflation in many areas. Biggest deflation has been in the real estate market, because we've experienced, up in our area, we've experienced up to about 50% decline in housing values. So that's just a great, deflationary picture. And so that's why we're seeing very, very low interest rates. So that's the other reason I'm very, very bullish about buying today, because interest rates are very low. You can get into a fixed, very low interest rate, a fixed rate for 30 years. Again, my experience is this real estate environment is not going to continue. 3.75, folks, is not going to be around forever. Buy now when you can get into 3.75% for 30 years. you're going to have that loan. It's going to be very valuable. When rates go back up to the normal 5 to 6% range, at least, you're going to have a 3.75% mortgage. So you got to buy it today. That's not going to. That is, as I just said to you, 1982, 22%. Over the past 30 years, over the past 30 years, interest rates have averaged about 8%. 8%. Today they're at 3.75. That's not going to continue. I assure you that these low interest rates are not going to continue.